Tracking on a fly cast, anyone, be it single, double-handed, tracking is all about keeping the rod moving at the same angle. So the moment that the rod takes the load, one minute, James, just grab the end of that line. So the moment that that rod begins to load, let it go a wee bit, up a bit yet. So imagine that I'm here, I'm ready to go forward, okay? From this moment on, as soon as that rod begins to bend, which is here, if you look at my hands, from there to there, that's all it takes, nothing, to introduce that load into the rod. That tiny movement at the beginning. From that moment on, cheers James, the rod must stay in exactly the same plane. Okay, so as soon as that rod begins to load, then it has to stay in exactly the same plane. It cannot start in this plane and then move to that plane. Very often when people push with their upper hands, what happens is it begins here, and then at the very end they give a wee push and it changes the plane of the rod. That opens up the loop and takes so much energy out of the loop. You cannot believe how much energy is lost by that. It's incredible. Right, okay, so basically that's it. Fundamentals. Honestly, in my role as a teacher, I see people just breaking basic fundamentals all the time. 90% of people do it. Simple. And if they focus on that, the real fundamentals, then fly casting is so much fun. With a double-handed rod, it is so much easier. I mean, basically, if I want to get, with a single-handed format, if I wanted to get 30 yards of line out, say I'm fishing a lake or something like that, I go like here, I put my hands together, we call it a double haul. As I begin to load the rod, I begin to pull down with this hand, keeping everything in line, and then, but honestly, this is so much like hard work. Whereas, if I do this, boom, it's not hard work at all. But the key thing is, I have to get that technique right. You know, if I get it wrong as a competent overhead caster, single-handed caster, if I get that wrong, I'll do it maybe 3-4 times. I think, oh no, I'll just go back to my old way of doing it. But basically, it is, no matter whether it's single or double-handed rod, it is key to keep that in the same plane. Now, from a fishing perspective, that plane could be here, or it could be there, but you'll note that my lower hand is changing. The finishing position changes depending on the plane of the rod. As most of the time, 45 degrees, that's pretty good. Your left hand, God put it on the left side of your body to be used on the left side of your body, you know. It's unnatural for it to go over there. It likes to be on the left, so middle to left. So ideally, that angle for a fly cast is perfect, you know. It doesn't have to be here, but it can be. But this angle is about perfect. It's comfortable for most people. But the key thing is here, is getting one hand to work against the other. Most people, when they go for a single or double-handed rod, and this applies even to the guys that are competent double-handed casters. Most people, when they come for single or double, they push. Yep, here. The analogy that I give always is that in a double-handed rod, this top hand is the fulcrum. So basically the pivotal point in the lever. It's like a bow. If I want to compress this bow here and shoot the arrow away into the distance, this one here is the fulcrum. And the way that you can understand it best is that if the bow is fully compressed and before I let go of the arrow I decide to move it in here, there's not, the arrow's going quarter the distance, you know? So I'm taking away the potential energy all out of that thing. By moving the fulcrum whilst the rod is under load, all we're doing is defeating the purpose. But if we can think about our forward cast, having found ourselves in this position, if we can think about our forward cast as a compression of the rod, it's just compressing it as much as we can. Compress and stop. When I'm teaching, I teach the stop, the very last thing, because you can do all the stuff with the line that we're going to talk about here. You can do all the stuff with that. It's quite tricky. And then if you don't stop the road properly, then that's all wasted as well. So you start with the stop, and the stop is like this. If you imagine, if you listen to it, here. If you do it properly, you listen to this, here. That's the energy being thrown from the rod in a millisecond. Whereas here, if I push, then it's long. It's a long note. It's like, in musical terms, we would call it legato. It's like long. Here, it's what you want. Staccato. It's short. That's what you're looking for. So what I say to people, if you want to brush up on your double-handed technique, one of the best things that you can do is this one. Just without a line on the road, and just listen to the road. Here. You'll see that it's coming down the way. It's not going out the way, it's coming down the way. Downloads the rod, and that stop releases the energy. That's the basic stuff with a double-handed rod.